Hey everybody, welcome back to Orchard Creek Farm. I told you yesterday that I would give you a little bit of a tour of some of the other parts of the farm that aren't buildings. Sorry, my hand is shaking a little bit from working, but this is the middle branch of the Emery River. There's not a ton of water in it right now, but I'm sitting on a log right now. If I show you right over here, you can see right behind me all these dead logs and branches that have piled up here in this section of the river. You can tell the water gets a lot higher at other times. We have a vision for building an orchard in this pasture behind me. We don't have any big plans to be cattle farmers or even run lots of animals on our land, really at all. We want to have chickens and ducks, maybe a few pigs or goats, or we've even thought about hair sheep, 1 or 2 cows just for our family to eat. But we don't want to go like large scale with that. Matt's most excited about creating an orchard, thus the name of the farm, Orchard Creek Farm, when there's actually no orchard here yet. So I'm walking across and up into, for now I guess I'll call it the back pasture. It's at the back of the property. It's totally cleared, it's all pasture. If you can see the woods in the background, that's the edge of our property. So we envision an orchard here. Apples, peaches, just a little bit of everything, kind of whatever strikes our fancy, I guess. But I'm going to switch the view here. If I can figure that out. May have to splice videos together. I'll be right back. So this is the back pasture, which someday will be an orchard. Right up here, it starts going uphill. It's actually a pretty steep hill. You can't tell super well from the video, but as you can see, this small river here winds all the way through our property. We have a lot of cleanup to do as far as fallen trees and washed up driftwood, clear it out. You can see in the background, that's the 3 youngest kids. They're working on this section over in front of the barn. Was really grown up with pigweed, and my brother bush hogged it probably 2 weeks ago, so the bulk of it was gone, but the little stubby bottoms were everywhere. So we have been pulling those up, and they are going to work on burning them if they can. We're going to spread some lime later on to try to keep that from happening again. So as you can see, right to the back of the barn in the section where it's actually a lot of gravel over there where they parked, is the river. And like I said, it's really low right now, but I'm interested to watch it throughout the year and see how high it gets, how much water comes through at different times of the year. So over in this far back corner of the property, so this is still the back pasture, I've decided just now that I'm going to call the back pasture for now, which will soon be an orchard, hopefully within the next year. This section over here, I just really like it. We've started calling it the wetlands because I had a vision of putting a little cottage over here in this back corner. I like the way this grove of black willow, and I'm not sure what kind of tree that is. I'm still learning. I think it might be a sweet gum tree, but I'm not sure. You can see there's black willows that grow around this kind of square of land. And I thought, oh, it would be perfect to put a little cottage right here. It's sort of closed in with woods, and then over here, the river's in the front right there, and over here is another creek. I don't know if there's any water in it right now. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of water that's in there right now, but you can see it goes right over here and flows into the river. Oh, look what I found. Oh, box turtle. Terrapin? I'm not sure what they're called, but he's found him a little spot to be. And right back there, that fence going right through the creek to keep the cows in is the border of our property. We were exploring the other day, and I was super happy. Right over there is a little pawpaw patch. So that made me happy. I'd found a few weeks back another pawpaw patch on the other side of the property. So it was really exciting for me to find that other one. So this is the far corner, looking now back where I started this video. I'm gonna pause right here and I'll pick it up after I've walked a little way. So this is just slightly down the river from where I started. Walk down here, you can see again a tree that's toppled over at some point in the past. A lot of things to clean up. Across the river in this middle pasture, you can see this herd of cows doesn't belong to Matt and I. These are my brother's cows. We purchased this farm from my brothers. They've owned it for a couple years, but have only used it to run cattle on because they actually have over 400 acres of land about 15 minutes from here, as well as some smaller pieces of land in different places in this county and one county over. So they bought this farm as an investment, and then we got it from them. So I'm just now walking along the edge of the river. Seems kind of strange for me to call this a river because it's, you know, not wide or incredibly deep, but it is technically the middle branch of the Emery River, which goes on to flow through Harriman, which is where I was born, where I moved to when I first left home back in about 2001. I lived there for 14 years. I just love the peacefulness. You can see out in the distance there, that's the front edge of the farm where you see cars driving by, and that's Highway 62, which runs from Oliver Springs to Wartburg. And while sometimes I don't like hearing the traffic noise, it's gonna be good for us in the future because we have hopes to make this farm sort of a ag agritourism, I don't know exactly how to describe in broad terms, but we like to think about having events, concerts, different stuff here, bring in just some fun things to do to the community. The cool thing though is, although this area right here is really shallow, there are 2 or 3 swimming holes on the property that we still don't know exactly how deep they are, because we haven't totally immersed ourselves in the project of finding out just how deep they are. But yesterday my kid's friend came down with us, and he is probably 5'6", 5'7", and in one of these swimming holes he was up to his neck. Some cows looking awfully peaceful and agrarian. I'm gonna get past these guys and start recording again. Alright, so this is looking back towards the middle of the back pasture, where I told you it gets kind of steep, but then it comes back, slopes down to the left side of the back pasture, and it's pretty much totally flat. I'm standing by the river here, and you can see it's a lot deeper right here. I'm not sure how deep it is. Like I said before, we've yet to really explore that, but it's a few feet deep at least. And then right up here is one of my favorite trees on the property. It's just big and beautiful, big black walnut tree. There's actually quite a lot of walnut trees on the property, so I'd like to figure out what to do with them. I've done a little bit of research, but I don't fully know how to make the most of them. It's just so peaceful. It's a Saturday, so there's a lot of traffic right now. You can probably hear the traffic in the distance, but like through the week, different times, it can be totally quiet, nothing but bird song. There's a hawk that lives somewhere around here, and he'll swoop by and make his calls. This mama over here must have babysitting duty. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 calves right with her. She must be the nanny for today. I'm scaring them, I don't mean to. I'm not gonna bother you guys. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. We hope to get at least 1 calf sometime soon. There's walnuts falling off the tree. It scared me. But anyway, we'd like to get at least 1 calf in the coming year to raise for food for our family. I hope I'm not making everybody sick. Motion sickness. This lady doesn't know what to think about me. I'll pick this up in a minute. So continuing our tour, this is one of my favorite little spots. There's so many of them, but this tree is really cool. The way it's grown sideways like that makes a perfect little bench. And then these I have named the sweetheart trees, because we've got 2 trees that have started out on their own, and then they have grown together and circled each other and got all entwined to where you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. So I like to think that it's kind of like me and Matt. We both were married before, had a lot of hard things in our lives, and then we found each other and joined two families together, and now we are happy as can be. You can see the kids playing. They're all the time climbing trees. They've been in the creek even yesterday when it was super cold. This is a fun little section. But moving forward on our tour, this is where the river meets up with a creek. So this is the confluence where, I'm not sure if I can show you very well from this side of the river, but I'll do my best. So if we can peek through here, back there, that is a separate creek that flows into this confluence here. You can see the river coming down and it gets real wide and deep right here. There's a nice deep hole, and then the river flows that way. So then again, the back pasture, the river, and then the middle pasture here with the barn way off in the distance. So then you follow the river down, it makes, as you can see, there's an elbow right here where the confluence is, then it comes back, and so it makes sort of a corner right here where I'm standing. So I'm on the far side, well, I guess the left side of the back pasture, and then the river is right here and also right here. What? Don't fall. There's so many peaceful spots along the river and creeks, and the further away from the highway that you get, the less car noise you hear. It just gets more and more serene. I've walked along the river bank so many times and thought, oh, here's a perfect spot to put some chairs. Matt makes Adirondack chairs and picnic tables. Here would be a great spot. Everywhere's a great spot. There's so many great spots that it's hard to choose. Lots of walnuts on the ground over here. So then this is moving back toward the corner, the left corner of the back pasture. And then I can cross over here where the river gets real wide and shallow right here. Flows around. Now it's a little wider than it was last time I was here, so I'm going to have to jump. So I apologize. Hopefully I won't fall in. I made it. So then whenever we cross from the back pasture over to the other side, there's another long skinny pasture that I'm gonna call the side pasture for now. And as you can see, we have really quiet neighbors. We're bordered back here by a cemetery. So then the river flows on the right side of the side pasture, all the way back to the back of our property. This wind is making my nose run. And as you can see, it gets deeper again here. A lot of scrubby stuff along the edge, but it gets, I don't know if you can see in the video, but I can see lots of minnows and a couple big fish, which I haven't seen the big fish before. They're probably 6 inches long. But it flows back this way, and if you can see that fence running along, it goes right over the river, and that is the back of our property. Side pasture goes right back there. And see that fence goes up to that corner and borders the cemetery. And the side pasture goes all the way up to, you can see that fence, which is along the creek, and I'll show you that next. So this is from the other end of the side pasture, looking back to where we just were. You can see the river is right here to the left of where I'm walking. I'm walking back towards the other end. Right over here on the left, where this cool tree is, it fell, but you couldn't keep it down. It just grew some new trees out of its trunk. So this is the confluence of the river that I showed you earlier. We're just on the other side of it. And then this place has many splendors for kids. I only wish we had have been here before now. They would have loved it when they were younger. My 3 older kids aren't nearly as excited as the 3 younger ones are. So this is the big hole where the river and the creek come together. And this is the creek that you couldn't see very well earlier. It's a small creek. It runs through, well, I'll show you where it runs. I don't know if this is a named creek, but I really like naming things. And since I have decided that I can name the section that I own whatever I want to, I have dubbed this little creek the Little Troublesome. So I don't know how many people are familiar with the Little Troublesome the Troublesome Creek in Hindman, Kentucky, but that is where I really discovered exactly where I fit, where my work fits in the literary community. And I have met so many wonderful friends there at Hindman, at the Hindman Settlement School. They really have helped me so much and have been such an asset to my life. So as an homage to my love for the Hindman Settlement School and the Appalachian Writers Workshop, I declare this little creek the Little Troublesome. I love all the birds on the property. I've seen bluebirds today, lots of eastern bluebirds, and there's a hawk circling around above us, which, knowing me, I will probably name before the day is over. So we've got to the end of the side pasture where it's running into the front pasture is inside that fence. And then this section right here that I've been walking beside of is what I'm calling the middle pasture right now. Hopefully, we will have a house right over here in the future. So the front will face the mountains, the back will be towards the river, Little Troublesome will flow to the side. Now this is the difficult part. This little section right here, this corner, gets really marshy. I think this tree's really cool. So you can tell I'm a new farmer because I'm wearing white Adidas today. It's mostly dry, it's not very muddy right now, but it did rain pretty hard a couple days ago, so I'm going to have to carefully watch my step. I knew better than to come this way, but I thought maybe it would be more dried out than it is. I don't know if my shoes are going to survive. There's random farm detritus in random places. I don't even know what this is. Some of it will haul off, some of it will repurpose. Some of it is perfectly fine, like there's some feeders, troughs in the barn that are kind of toppled over and stuff, but there's really nothing wrong with them. Alright, I'm gonna have to make my way across here, so I will continue once I'm on the other side. I made it, and I didn't ruin my shoes, at least not yet. So I'm walking. I may have started this video too soon. Where the cows have been over here, it's very bumpy, so it's still a little precarious. I'm almost to the drier stuff over by the creek. All right, I made it, success. So this has a really defined path from the cows. They like to lounge over here in the shade. But I think this section right here is really neat. It just looks cool. There's a lot of erosion, which isn't great, but it really does look cool. These trees growing out of the creek bank, leaning over a little bit. We're gonna try to manage the erosion, see what we can do with help from the state. One thing that is really fantastic, I know we're really lucky to have, is my baby brother Seth is not only 11 years younger than me, and I totally adore him, but he's also a civil engineer who specializes in site development. So I feel really blessed to have him to give us advice and help us and point us in the right direction when we need his professional expertise, whether that's erosion control or where to build our house, thinking about floodplains. He's just fantastic. So this was one of the happiest discoveries of the farm, is this little pawpaw patch. I've heard about pawpaws and I'd seen pictures of them and I'd heard people talking about finding them, but I had never had one or seen one in person. And we were walking along the creek one day about a month ago, and Matt picked up this fruit off the ground and said, "Hey babe, what's this?" And I did a little happy dance, a little jig, It was a pawpaw, and I was just absolutely thrilled. There's these little ones right here, but this one, so let's see, this tree right here, I can't point backward, growing next to the big one, is the biggest pawpaw tree. And about a month ago, it had lots of pawpaws on it, so we all got to try them and enjoy that. So now I'm currently standing just past the marshy area in the pawpaw patch by the Little Troublesome, looking towards the highway. You can see the beautiful mountains. I love the mountain view. I grew up playing in the woods, playing in the creek, lived right at the foot of Lone Mountain in Morgan County. So I love having this view of the mountains. I'm not gonna walk over in the front pasture. It's just pasture. You can see right, if you're looking at that white house across the road, right in front of it, you can see the gate. So that's where you come into the property. So you can see we have a lot of highway frontage, which will be good when we attempt to do some of our more elaborate ideas. It'd be easy to get to the farm to find it. We're actually about 15 minutes or less from the Brushy Mountain Distillery. So they make moonshine there in the old Brushy Mountain prison. So the Little Troublesome is what cuts across and divides the front pasture from the middle pasture, except for this section right here where I'm standing is on the other side of the creek. But this front pasture's fenced in. The Little Troublesome flows in that direction. There's a culvert here, cattle crossing. See, we're getting closer to the barn. The driveway's over there on the other side of that fence, right over there. And then standing here, this is looking back. You got the Little Troublesome goes back here and goes back along there where it meets the Emery River and then flows towards the back of the property. Got lots and lots of pasture. The creek just is a little more than a ditch at the moment, but you can see where the water gets a lot higher at other times. So this is Orchard Creek Farm. Thanks for going on a tour with me. The wind's blowing my hair everywhere. Hopefully I will be able to figure out how to put all these videos together and not have 14 videos that you have to click on individually. Wasn't really planning on being a YouTuber, but I have been super into watching other farmers' videos that they make. Justin Rhodes, I love his YouTube channel. I've been following along with him for a few weeks now, and I thought, you know what, we ought to chronicle our journey too, because that's really fun. And I'm just so excited. I love to share my excitement with my friends and family and all of you. So thanks for joining me on my tour. Have a great day.